Everybody is doing great, and here I am walking around the house thinking about how to improve my marks in my tests. Well, this was me exactly a year ago, shouting at myself to figure out a way, and I found out a way that worked amazing for me, and I hope it will for you too.
Hey there schools, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm Anas Baggu, a class 12 student who gave his NEET 4 months ago, and I scored 647 marks out of 720. So in this video I'm going to be discussing about the techniques that helped me increase my marks from X to Y over the last 3-4 months of NEET, so that it will help you aspirants out there. I was just an aspirant 3 months ago. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we? And as usual, timestamps for all parts are in the description box below, so check them out, and they're also throughout the video. Feel free to check out which one you think would be useful for you. The first technique that I would like to talk about is rating your questions. As aspirants, we solve a lot of questions daily and a lot of chapters also. When we don't get a particular question, we round it off, go to our teacher, get the solution and understand the concept. Well, now imagine and put yourself in a situation 3 months from now. You have to revise a particular chapter that you've done in the past. So what will you do? For physics as a subject, you will open your text notes and revise the notes, and also open your coaching module or the question book that you're solving and check out the questions that you've rounded before and revise them, right? It's as simple. Now say you rounded off around 8 to 10 questions out of the 40 questions that you solved for the first time. Now you've done those 10 questions again and you feel okay, I've got something out of it. But now when you think about the remaining 30 questions, you'll get a question now. Do I really remember them? Should I have to solve those questions again? These kind of questions pop up in your head and you start wasting a lot of time thinking whether to solve those questions or whether to skip them. Well, my teacher gave me a solution for this, and it is rating your questions as easy, medium, difficult or very difficult. In this pattern, if you rate every single questions that you solve, it makes it much easier for you to understand which questions need more attention and which questions you should be probably ignoring to save time. And the second technique is making good notes. And by making good notes, I don't mean those kind of notes that we make where we copy the things from textbook and put them off in the notes and try to mug all of them up. But yeah, not that one. Here what I mean is smart notes, those notes which are concise, which have apt information that is needed for the exam at least, and the notes which we enjoy reading. What I actually mean is you should have a different approach of making notes for every chapter and every subject also, because everything is obviously different, right? So for physics, what I used to do was make the chapter into 3 pages inside my small notebook, maximum of 4 pages maybe, and put out all the information including formulas, important theory points in that place itself. So I did this 3 months before the NEET exam. So this was my second notes apart from the notes that I took when my teachers taught me the concept. So what this second notes had was concise overview of all chapters. So when I was supposed to be writing a full syllabus test, I could just go through maybe 7-8 chapters at a go by reading just 20 or 30 pages. And for biology, I had a different strategy, especially when it comes to plant physiology, wherein you can't just write off theoretical notes. What I did was make these beautiful flowcharts and also point-based notes and examples and stuff. Well, there is a different approach that I use for that. And also when it comes to animal kingdom chapters like that, if you read your NCERT, no matter how many times you read, you will forget everything over there. But what I did was I made a whole animal kingdom chapter into just a page, like front and back, one paper full of animal kingdom, and that's it. That was the whole chapter for me, and everything was correlated with tables, and also it was very easy for me to memorize. So making good notes is very, very crucial, and especially when you are just 2-3 months before the exam, you don't feel like solving questions, you feel like revising notes, and at that point if you have really good notes, it will help you a lot and actually motivate you to study further. So make good notes, and if you want to have a look at my notes, comment below. I'll just put them in the description box later on. Yeah, so that is it. And the third technique that I would like to talk about is making error lists. And by making error lists, everyone has a different way of making error lists. So I also had a different way. So what I used to do was take my notebook, take my question paper that I made mistakes in, just check out the questions that I've done wrong. I used to write the question, I used to write the options. If the options were tricky, I would write the solution, and then if I still had the mood, I used to also write the theory related to that question. And what this did was it made it easier for me in the future before 2 weeks before the exam, when I was reviewing my error list, I could now have the question, the answer, the theory, and also the confusing options that are there in the question. And what happens as a result is it gives me a lot of information that I can't probably gain by reading my notes alone. So yeah, error lists are crucial, and make them in a proper way. Don't just doze off by writing the question numbers from the question paper or page numbers of the question paper. Instead, try to do like I did, and it's time consuming in the beginning, but in the last 2-3 weeks of the exam, it really helps you a lot and gives you a lot of confidence. So yeah, and maybe you are around 6 months before NEET, and at this particular time, making error list will actually be a lot of time consuming, because you have to read your NCRTs, you have to make notes also, and you have to solve questions, and your boards are there. So it will be difficult for you to make error lists and manage time as well. So what I suggest is at least try to make them for physics, because physics is very important. You cannot solve those lengthy questions again or remember those concepts again if you don't make note of them. So I would suggest you please do physics first. At least do only physics. Write the question, write the solution, write the formula if possible, and do for physics. If you have time, then maybe prioritize organic chemistry over other parts of chemistry. And if you still have more time, you can do chemistry and then biology, but physics is the most important thing. In the last 2 weeks before my NEET, I checked all my physics error lists, and I really got to know a lot of stuff that I seem to have forgotten somehow. So yeah, follow this. It's the most crucial thing, guys. If you take one thing from this video, then make good error lists. And the fourth tip that I like to give is to solve more test papers and solve as many test papers as possible. And I exactly remember for me how it was like to solve tests. I used to feel very much irritated to solve tests, because obviously they point out weaknesses in me. But if I have to say one thing that really improved my marks more than anything, then that is writing tests. What happened was my speed increased, my scores increased, my understanding of the concept increased. It overall made me more confident, because my score increased from 600s average to 650s and 660s in the average basis. So yeah, writing tests is one of the most important aspects for this exam. It is uncomfortable to write tests, obviously, sitting 3 hours, and it's much more easier and feels better to read the notes or read the textbooks, but prioritize giving tests also, because they are the ultimate things that will point out your weaknesses. So give as many tests as possible. And by writing tests, I don't mean you have to go on writing continuously. What I mean is, say you are around 5 months before NEET, 4 months before NEET, then try giving 2 tests per week or 3 tests per week. And then 3 months before NEET, try giving 3 to 4 tests per week. And then 2 months before NEET, try to give a test daily. I definitely recommend that.
But how can I write those many tests? It'll be tiring, right? Well, here's a hack.
So say you go to a movie, and the movie will be for 3 hours, and you will enjoy throughout the movie, right? So I started considering the tests as movies. You go into the test, you sit there for 3 hours, you won't think of anything else, and you come out. And it became some sort of a routine for me, just like brushing, starting the test with biology, going to chemistry, going to physics. It just felt like I'm expecting something to come, and at the end 3 hours were just over in a blip. So you should get to that particular phase wherein you don't really dread giving tests, wherein you like to spend that 3 hours. So there was a particular time where I felt writing tests was much better than reading NCRT, because I felt like I was using my knowledge. So yeah, writing tests is a very important thing. Write as many tests as possible. So I used to write Akash tests and LN tests also, but mostly I used to write Akash ones only. The last tip of this video, I think, would be an absolute game changer. So this technique I learned from my friend, who is my classmate called Prem Sai. This is something known as memory book. So he used to write down all those things that he forgot on those book. So I started learning from him and made a memory book on my own. So I something that would suit for me particularly, something that would help me particularly. So I bought these tiny books which we can carry wherever we go. What I did was I wrote the things that I was forgetting. For example, in biology, I made a specific mistake, or I forgot something related to the concept. I just used to write it down over there, especially also in inorganic chemistry and in all stuff. So I made 3 books for 3 subjects: biology, physics, chemistry, and I used to fill that memory book whenever I think I'm forgetting something, or whenever I think I didn't get something correct. I used to put it down in the memory book. So you might think, okay, wait, I'm making another notes. How is this memory book gonna help me in the future? Well, now imagine you filled 3 small tiny books with formulas, with stuff that you're forgetting, and the things that you are most likely to forget also, those mnemonics and all. You fill them in this book. Now again, put yourself in a situation. You have NEET 1 week from now. Do you really think you will be able to read all those notes that you made in your 11th grade, or for that instance these notes also that you made just 3 months ago? No, it won't turn out to be true. But if you have these memory books, what happens is you can revise them. And they'll give you a lot of confidence, because it's just like tiny bits of information put all through the book, and you'll remember a lot of stuff that you think you've forgotten, and you'll get back those memories of those concepts, and it'll make you feel like a god, because you start remembering everything. And considering this memory book, don't think that it would be useful only in the last month of NEET. It can be useful even now. So when you are approaching a particular test, you can revise through your memory book, or when you are stuck in your public bus or something, when you are traveling to your coaching institution, or when you are in your bathroom, whatever. You can just take this small book and revise stuff from this, remember things from it, and it's much more easier to read a small book than reading your big bulky notes. So that is it, and that brings me to the end of this video. I gave out all the important things that helped me a lot, that I didn't even tell to my friends also, but so these things I think would be very much useful for you. They're just 5 things. You can just try them out whenever you're free. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from this, and if you did, then hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and also hit the bell icon, because I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff soon. And I'll be seeing you soon with a new video. So until then, have a nice day.